welcome everyone to this special edition of the Footy GameDay Squad podcast. I'm your host Cal, and joining me today is no one. As you can see, Tom and Kerm have both abandoned me, and I'm here to run the ship all by myself. But don't worry guys, I'm happy to jump in and give round 3 of the AFL season a great review, putting on our GameDay Squad fantasy hats as we have a look at the round that was. Before we get into that and continue on with the normal trajectory of our show, I want to shout out GameDay Squad. It's obviously the reason we're here, and it is Australia's first and only fantasy sport blockchain game, just launched with a footy and NRL game. Make sure you go check it out, all the descriptions and everything below. We're super excited with what we've produced, and our seasons are going to be starting in just a couple of weeks' time. What we normally jump into first up is a bit of what we got right and wrong. So I'm going to tell you straight off the bat what I got right and what I got wrong for the round that was in the AFL. And I can tell you what I got right was my opinion and my prediction that Bailey Smith was going to be a star this year. He did miss the round 2, and he's come back straight into the team and looked like an absolute weapon. And our game, of course, is a dynasty game, but having this guy in your team right now is the key to competing for a premiership. So I really want to go after those Bailey Smith cards. I haven't got one yet. I've been opening some packs to try and get him because he's going to be an absolute star. What I got wrong, however, was in the Melbourne review show that we did at the end of last season, I told you Angus Brayshaw wasn't going to be a player that you want in your fantasy team, and he's only gone around and produced the highest score for the round. So I'll talk about him a bit later, and I gave some good opinions, I think, as to why he shouldn't be in the team. But yeah, this week he definitely rubbed my nose in my opinion that I had earlier that he should be nowhere near your fantasy squad. What I'm going to move into next is what we normally roll into, which is studs and duds, where we normally break down each game that happened in this round that was and give you a stud and a fantasy dud from the game that was. Now, please forgive me and give me a bit of slack. This is my first time recording by myself, so I'm going to try and give this a go as we go through all 9 teams here. But the first game that I'm going to kick off with was that Sydney and Bulldogs game, and my stud was Tim English. So 158 game day squad points, as you can see there, 24 touches, 16 kicks, and a season-high 28 hitouts. So with Hickey going down in that game, he really took control and, yeah, definitely got the stud for that one. On the flip side, you had Josh Kennedy. Just has not been the same player that we were hoping or we've seen in the past. 68 game day squad points, and he's only had 9 kicks in the game. No tackles, goals, or free kicks. So, yeah, he's lucky not to feature in my last segment of this show, which is the buy, sell, hold. But, yeah, he'd be very close to that sell category right now. Moving on to the next game, we had the Melbourne and the Essendon game, and the stud for that has to be Angus Brayshaw. Like I said at the top of the show, absolute star the other day. Amazing to see that he had 20 marks, and it got him a massive 180 game day squad points, which was the highest for the round, like I said. The dud, though, I had to give it to Jake Kelly. He's had a really disappointing start to the season, and I didn't think it could get much worse, but it has. 10 touches in total for the whole game, didn't do anything right, gave away a few free kicks, and only amassed 45 points. This next game hurts me a lot because, as you guys know, I'm a massive Port Adelaide fan, so giving the stud of this game to Jordan Dawson does hurt. But while he might not have had the highest score in the game, you can't kick a goal like that and have a game like he did and not deserve it. So, yeah, two games over 100 now. He's really starting to find his own after moving from the Swans. 20 kicks, 3 goals, and a great 124 points gives him the star of the game, and this what I've got down there. On the flip side, though, you guys know I love Zach Butters, and so does Kerm. But unfortunately, it's a heavy heart. I give him the dud of the week this week. 66 game day squad points, 6 kicks, 7 handballs, no goals. And we really were talking him up as a top 6 potential forward player, and he just has not been that quite yet this season, and particularly on the weekend, he had quite a poor game. Moving over to the Gold Coast and GWS game, Tim Taranto, you guys know I love him. Massive fan of what he's done. He's so high on my dynasty board, and he had a huge 155 game day squad points, 21 kicks, 15 handballs, 8 tackles, and would have been even better if he hadn't given away 5 free kicks, which we know are -2 on game day squad scoring. Alex Sexton, he's always been a super frustrating player, and I always think he will be, and just absolute dud for me in fantasy. Someone I'd never want to go around, but there are some people in Game Day Squad I've spoken to that still hold out hope. But for me, I wouldn't want him, even if it was a diamond or a legend card, I wouldn't want him anywhere near my team. 6 touches, no tackles, and he only had 23 Game Day Squad points, so yeah, a big dud for him. Talking about responding, Tom Stewart did it in a massive way. He's already featured 2 times in a row in the dud category in the first 2 rounds for us. We put him on the hot seat last week and he has responded with a massive 127 points on the weekend. He did that, 22 kicks, 7 handballs, but the thing for me was he looked like he'd found his mojo back when the Cats were clawing their way. So really positive signs for him as someone that we hope is a top 6 defender in our Game Day Squad teams. On the flip side, though, I've given it to another Cat, and that was Jack Henry. And yeah, 53 Game Day Squad points. He just wasn't it on the weekend. Only touched it 9 times and gave away a few free kicks and just had no impact on the whole game. And just seems to be going backwards in this season. So yeah, definitely a player I am staying away from. And yeah, massive dud for me on the weekend. The Lions game was a crazy finish with the goals just piling on at the end. And I have to shout out myself for telling everyone to stay and hold on Jared Lyons in buy, sell, hold last week. And if you listened to me, then you've been rewarded nicely because he had a massive 152-point game for the Lions. 24 kicks, 3 goals, 8 marks, and yeah, really helped the Lions run over the top of the Roos there. On the flip side, I am very high on Jack Ziebell and Aaron Hall as a pairing down back, but Ziebell let me down big time on the weekend. 63 Game Day Squad points. He only had 13 kicks, which is very low for him, and just had a really poor game considering that the ball was in his half for 80% of the time. So, yeah, not happy with him. But the Blues game. I could have given this to Patrick Cripps, but Sam Docherty, I have to give it to him. Well, not only for what he's done off the field and how inspirational he is, but he's just an absolute defensive lock for anyone in fantasy at the moment. He's just getting better and better, and it's so good to see. 33 touches, 13 marks, and a huge 163 points. So, yeah, if you don't have him in your team, you will be running for him this week, I'm sure. And someone we talk about and hold to quite a high standard a lot on this show, Chad Wingard. Tough putting him here because he did get subbed out of the game against Port the week before, so maybe he wasn't quite right, but fantasy owners, we don't care about that. If he's on the pitch and we have him in our team, we want him to perform, and he didn't. He only had 70 points and just isn't the top 6 player that we had him pegged at the start of the season. So yeah, he's a real difference between him and Taranto and Heaney and those sort of guys at the moment. So needing him to stay out of the dud category and have a big lift over the next few weeks if we want to keep holding on to him. Looking at the Sunday games, Brad Crouch really had a great game. 146 Game Day Squad points, 29 touches, and huge just tackling machine. His best game for the season and was quite the stud as the Saints really roared past the Tigers there in that second half. Slowly starting to build as a player you really have to think about if you want to keep winning and aiming to win the premiership or win your comp you're in at the moment, because he's starting to find some footy, and if the Saints keep winning, definitely someone you need to keep an eye out for, and made that game quite exciting. Definitely one to watch because it was looking a bit dull there for a bit. And someone who was a bit dull at the moment and is a bit of a dud and who I've got down, you can see, is Tom Lynch. So only had 11 touches and the 1 goal, finished with 68 Game Day Squad points. And with Riewoldt out of the side, you do expect him to take control and have a bit more of an influence in the game that he's having at the moment, but he's just not. And with King down the other end, just dominating and sort of showing us what we want from him, yeah, it's disappointing to see. And at 29, you think this is his time, but if he's not going to compete now and he's not going to be the player now, you just wonder, are you ever going to win a fantasy premiership with Tom Lynch in your team, even if it is that one-of-one legend card in Game Day Squad? So yeah, my dud. Moving on to the next game, and the last game that we had down was, and I've said that before, Sunday games. The Carlton one that was there on a Sunday, but continuing on, Shannon Hurn in the final in the Derby. I've actually given it to him as my stud, even though they got rolled by Freo. But 20 kicks, 12 marks, game high 138 Game Day Squad points. He was really, really good and one of the few bright lights for the Eagles. For a 34-year-old trying to hold up his own as they were just getting beaten, it was really impressive to see. And if you had Shannon Hurn in your fantasy team, you would have been happy. But I don't know too many people who did. Please let me know if you had Shannon Hurn in your team, because yeah, you're obviously thinking on a level that the rest of us are not. But someone, and the final dud for the week, I had to give it to Rory Lobb, because he didn't have Sean Darcy in the team, and I really thought he was going to step up and have a big influence. And on the face of it, he kicked a couple of goals and was looking okay, but he only got 65 Game Day Squad points. And yeah, I was just expecting a little bit more and himself to get a few more touches of the footy. And yeah, his lowest performance for the year, and yeah, definitely my dud of the game. Alrighty, so if you have got this far, please make sure you do give us a subscribe and you do give us a like, and you let us know how you're finding things in the comments below. We're really excited with what we are producing, and normally I get Tom or Kerm to do this little spiel, but if you are this far through the video, please do show your appreciation, because we want to make sure we're letting people know about Game Day Squad, and the best way we can do that is through your help. So if you haven't, everything's below our Discord, where you can get involved and people are talking about their teams and sharing them, as well as all our links to our socials, where we've got a few promotions at the moment where if you share your team or if you pick which pack is better and things like that, you can get your hands on a few free packs, which is really, really cool. So make sure you are checking everything below in the description. As I move into my final segment here, I've got to do by myself. Buy, sell, hold. I really do enjoy this one, and I'm sure if Kerm was here, he'd enjoy it too, because my buy this week is Jayden Short, and massive shout out to Kerm. 2 weeks ago, we were asking him the question on the review show. Jayden Short's had a first game stinker. Are you still going to stick with him? And he was massive on him. So he's come out absolutely blazing. 144 points on the weekend, backed up his huge score of the week before. So yeah, kicked the ball 27 times out of 31 touches, and that's what you want from a fantasy player. So if you don't buy him now, it might be too late for you. So yeah, shout out Kerm for sticking strong on that one. My hold is another of Kerm's favourites. One of his sons, guys, Tuke Miller. So he was tagged heavily on the weekend, and everyone's talking about it. And there's a few people already hitting that panic button. I've seen some people on Twitter even move him to the bench during the week just to let him know. But he had quite a poor game by his standards, and yeah, I can see why people would want to be trigger happy with it. But when you have a look at who he's got coming up, he's got the Blues, he's got the Saints, and he's got the Pies. So he's got a pretty nice run there in the next month. So I wouldn't be doing it there. He's that good that I reckon if anyone goes and drops him, he'll drop 150 points the next week. So drop him at your own peril. And finally, my sell. So Tom Mitchell. I was pretty controversial in the preseason when I said I didn't want to go near him. And I just thought where I thought that would be, and where he was in his career, I just thought maybe there was a bit of misalignment and he might not be as motivated to be the star that we know he is. Now, while the Hawks have looked very good, he still hasn't had the sort of season that a lot of people were predicting for him. And he's just been hovering there, and he hasn't looked like the ball magnet. And there's been a lot of Hawks players get the job done without him. So for me, he is my sell. If you have him, you might not be able to sell him at a higher price, because maybe his days of being that stud are over. Now, at his age there, he can still come back to haunt me, but I'm going to double down on my pick, and that's who I'd be looking to sell if I had him in my team. So that'll wrap us up, guys. Really appreciate you sticking with me. And next time we will hopefully have Tom and Kerm back. Tom disappeared to a holiday and Kerm is still a little bit unwell. So sending our love to him, hoping he can jump back on. Make sure you're checking out all our other videos, and you check out in particular, our pack opening video that me and Tom did. It should be below in our channel. We had lots of fun going through opening our starter packs and opening some Game Day Squad players. So have a look at who we got and let us know what you think. But yeah, appreciate it, everyone sticking through. Make sure you check out GameDay Squad. Until next time, guys, stay game day ready.